In this lesson, we're going to look at muscle cytology, and we're going to be looking at the microscopic structure and the function of muscles. So the first thing I want you to recognize about muscles is that they are elongated cells and they stretch along a line of contraction. And as contraction is increased through the force, it moves from the outward side of the cell to the center of the cell. So if this is your cell, this is the outside, it's going to move this way towards the center. And as it does this, the length, if this is the length, it's going to shorten, and the diameter of the cell is actually going to increase. So it's going to go from this to being this guy as a result of contraction. During the process of energy use, muscle cells convert chemical energy from ATP into a contractile force. You're going to see a couple of terms in here, sarcolemma and sarcoplasm, and I want you to kind of think about just regular cells, but muscle cells aren't regular cells, so we have these new terms. The sarcolemma is essentially the cell membrane of a muscle cell, and the sarcoplasm is the cytoplasm of a cell membrane of a muscle. And in muscles, we have these particular units called myofibrils, and they contain really important proteins. You have actin, myosin, troponin, and tropomyosin. And they're going to be the foundation of muscle contraction. There's another lesson that describes this at length, so I want you to check that out. When we look at the features of skeletal muscle, there are a couple of really, really important points about it. So number one, they are elongated cylinders. And when we're talking about skeletal muscles, they are the longest cells, and they have these cross striations, and they're also multinucleated. They can have up to 1,000 nuclei per cell. And these things differentiate them from other types of muscle. When we're talking about cardiac muscle, what we're talking about is muscle that's found in the heart. They are the shortest cells, and they do have cross striations, but they are branched with one nucleus. So if we look, you can see that this is a branch and this is a branch. Another really super cool thing about this has always been one of my most favorite things about cardiac muscle, is that they have these things called intercalated discs, which are right here. It's these things, and they have a really, really, really unique purpose. And what they do is, if you had all of your muscle cells, all of your heart muscle cells beating at different times, you would never have any synchronicity in your heart. Your heart would have some crazy rhythm. But what happens is the intercalated disc allow for a rapid transmission of the signal to allow all of the heart cells to beat in unison. So that's why intercalated discs are really, really important. So smooth muscle cells are also very distinctive, and they're elongated, and they have these pointy ends, and they're intermediate length, but they also have no striations. They also have one nucleus, and that's what separates them from the others. So let's recap. An important feature of a muscle cell is that it has force and contraction is toward the center of the cell. And so that decreases the length of the cell, but it increases the diameter of the cell. Skeletal muscle is long, cylindrical, and it can contain up to those 1,000 nuclei per cell. Cardiac muscle is really important because they're the shortest cells, and they have those intercalated discs that allow the heart to beat in sync. Smooth muscle has no striations. It only has one nucleus, and they are pointed on the ends. So that's it for our lesson. Make sure you check out all the resources attached to it. Now go out and be your best selves today. And as always, happy nursing.